This is English Unlocked. Real-life English, spoken slowly and clearly. I'm Natalia. In this episode, you don't need to study. You don't need to repeat. You don't need to remember anything. You can simply listen. This episode is made for quiet moments, for rest, for sleep, for the time when your mind slows down. English can stay with you, even when you are not focused. This is how familiarity begins. You may be lying down. You may be closing your eyes. You may just be listening in the background. That is enough. There is no right way to listen to this episode. You don't need to understand every word. You don't need to follow every sentence. Your brain will still hear the rhythm, the sounds, the natural flow of English. This is how language settles quietly. Now let's slow everything down. Listen to the sound of English, not the meaning, not the structure, just the sound. People often speak English like this in real life. Softly, without effort. You may hear simple phrases. I'm here. I'm okay. It's quiet. It's late. These phrases don't ask for attention. They don't demand understanding. They simply exist. English can exist like that too. You don't have to stay awake. You don't have to stay focused. If your thoughts drift, that's fine. If you fall asleep, that's fine too. Your ears are still listening. Your brain is still hearing English in a calm, natural way. This is not learning by force. This is learning by presence. Now let the sentences come and go. You don't need to hold onto them. English doesn't need effort right now. It can simply stay with you. As you rest, we stay here, and we continue slowly. As you listen, there is nothing you need to do. You don't need to follow the story. You don't need to think about grammar. You don't need to stay awake. English can simply be there. In quiet moments, your mind relaxes. And when the mind relaxes, it becomes open. This is a good moment for listening. You may hear familiar words. You may hear words you don't know. Both are fine. Your brain doesn't need to understand everything. It only needs to recognize the sound of English. Now listen to these gentle phrases. It's calm. It's quiet. I'm resting. I'm here. These are real-life phrases. They appear in everyday conversations. They don't carry pressure. They sound natural. And natural language feels safe. If your thoughts move away, that's okay. If you feel sleepy, that's okay too. English can stay in the background, like soft music, like a familiar voice. Your ears hear more than you realize. Even when you're not focused, your brain notices rhythm, intonation, pauses. This is how language becomes familiar. Now imagine a quiet room. The light is soft. Everything slows down. English is part of this calm. You don't need to answer. You don't need to react. Just let the sound pass through. Some sentences may stay with you. Some may disappear. Both are natural. Learning does not always feel active. Sometimes it feels like rest. This kind of listening does not ask for effort. It only asks for presence, and presence can happen even when you are falling asleep. We stay here, and we continue slowly. As your body relaxes, your breathing becomes slower. Your thoughts become quieter. English can move with this calm. You don't need to hold on to any sentence. You don't need to remember words. Your mind knows how to listen without effort. This is how people learn sounds naturally, the same way children hear language. Before meaning, before rules, just sound and rhythm. You may hear English like this. I'm safe. It's quiet now. I can rest. These phrases are simple. They feel gentle. They don't ask for attention. They don't interrupt your rest. They simply pass through. Your brain recognizes patterns, even when you are not thinking. It notices the rise and fall of the voice, the pauses, the calm tone. This is enough. If you drift into sleep, English can drift with you. There is no moment where learning stops. It just becomes quieter. Some nights you will remember more. Some nights you will remember nothing. Both are okay. The goal is not memory. The goal is familiarity. Familiar sounds feel safe, and safe sounds return easily. You may wake up another day, and English feels less strange, not because you studied, but because you listened. Now let the voice stay soft. There is no need to follow, no need to focus. Just let English exist in the background of your rest, like a calm presence, like a familiar sound. We stay here, and we continue gently. As the night becomes quieter, everything slows down even more. There is no rush now. No need to think about tomorrow. No need to plan. English can stay with you. In this quiet space, you may not notice every word, and that's perfectly fine. Your mind listens in its own way. Sometimes it listens clearly. Sometimes it listens softly. Sometimes it listens without awareness. All of this is natural. The sound of English can become part of the silence around you. Not loud, not demanding, just present. You might hear gentle phrases like, "It's okay. You can rest. Everything is calm." These words are simple. They feel reassuring. They don't need to be understood. They only need to be heard. Your breathing slows. Your body feels heavier. English does not disturb this. It moves with it. If your thoughts wander, let them wander. If your mind becomes empty, let it be empty. English does not need attention right now. It only needs space. In this space, language settles quietly. No effort, no rules, no pressure. Just sound, just rhythm, just calm. You don't need to stay awake. You don't need to stay focused. English can stay with you. As you drift deeper into rest, we stay here, moving gently, without any need to hurry. The sound becomes slower now, softer. There is nothing to follow, nothing to hold. English can simply be part of the quiet. You may notice the pauses between sentences, the space between sounds. That space is important. It lets everything settle. Your mind does not need to work. It does not need to understand. It can rest. English does not ask anything from you. It does not expect a response. It is just there, like a calm presence in the room. You may hear familiar sounds. You may not. Both are fine. Your brain listens in the background, gently, naturally. This is enough. If sleep comes, let it come. If you stay awake, that is fine too. English can stay with you in either state. There is no right way. To listen now. No goal, no task, just quiet listening, just being. We stay here. There is nothing you need to hear clearly now. Nothing you need to understand. English can fade into the background, like a soft sound in the room. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to slow down. You don't have to help it. The voice can come and go. Words can appear and disappear. That is enough. Sometimes you may notice a sentence, sometimes only the sound. Both are okay. English does not need your attention right now. It can stay gently nearby, like a familiar presence, like a quiet radio in another room. Your breathing is steady. Your thoughts are light. There is no need to think about learning. There is no need to think about English. It is already there. You can let go. If sleep comes, let it come naturally. If you are still listening, just listen without effort. Everything is calm. Everything is quiet. We stay here. Nothing needs to happen now. There is no next step, no direction to follow. The sound of English can simply exist without meaning, without intention. Your body rests, your mind rests. Words may come, or they may not. It doesn't matter. English can stay like a quiet presence, not asking anything from you, like air, like background sound. You don't need to hold on. You don't need to listen closely. Just allow the moment to be. Breathing stays slow. Thoughts stay light. Everything is okay. You can rest here. There is nothing more to say. The sound can fade. The space can stay. English doesn't need to continue now. It has already been here with you. You can rest. You can sleep. Everything is quiet. The night continues quietly. There is no need to change anything. The pace stays slow. The sound stays soft. English can remain here with you, not asking for attention, not asking for effort. You don't need to follow the meaning. You don't need to stay awake. Your mind can drift, and English can drift with it. This is how listening becomes natural. Words arrive slowly. They leave slowly. Nothing is rushed. You may hear simple thoughts. It's quiet. It's calm. There is time. These phrases don't need to be understood. They only need to be present. English can exist like a background sound, like something familiar that doesn't disturb your rest. Your breathing stays even. Your body feels heavier. The voice stays gentle. There is no instruction here, no task, no goal, only sound, only rhythm. This kind of listening does not push information into the mind. It allows the mind to open on its own. That opening can happen slowly, naturally. You don't need to remember anything from this moment. You don't need to recall words later. English is not something to hold onto right now. It is something to pass through. Some sounds may stay. Some may disappear. That is exactly how it should be. You may notice pauses between sentences. Those pauses are part of the listening. Silence is also part of language. In real life, English is not continuous speech. It is sound, then quiet, then sound again. This episode follows that rhythm. You may fall deeper into rest. You may stay lightly aware. Both states are welcome. Nothing changes. English does not interrupt your sleep. It moves alongside it. If thoughts appear, they can pass. If nothing appears, that is fine too. The voice remains calm, steady, unhurried. This is not a lesson. It is not practice. It is exposure. Gentle exposure. English can stay with you the same way soft music stays in a room. Present, unobtrusive, familiar. There is no end coming soon. There is no need to prepare. The night continues, and English continues with it. We stay here. The night stays deep and still. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to move. English can continue to exist quietly, like a soft presence in the background. You don't need to notice every word. You don't need to stay aware. Your mind can rest while the sound continues. This kind of listening does not ask for attention. It allows attention to fade, and that is where familiarity grows. Words come slowly. They leave slowly. Some sentences may sound clearer than others. Some may blur into sound. Both are natural. English does not need to be sharp right now. It can be soft, almost distant. You may hear calm phrases. It's still. It's quiet. There is nothing to do. These phrases do not ask for reaction. They do not need understanding. They simply pass through. Your body may feel heavier now. You're breathing slower. The voice does not interrupt this. It follows your pace. There is no instruction here. No reminder to listen. No expectation. Only presence. English does not become familiar through effort. It becomes familiar through repetition without pressure, through hearing again and again. In moments of calm, your brain recognizes patterns, even while resting. It recognizes rhythm, intonation, pauses. These are the foundations of language, not rules. Not explanations, just sound. If your thoughts drift into images, that is fine. If your mind feels empty, that is fine too. English can exist in both states. It does not need your focus. It does not need your energy. It can stay nearby, quietly, like a familiar sound at night. There is no need to hold onto any sentence. No need to remember anything later. This moment is not for memory. It is for ease. Ease allows language to settle. You may notice the silence between phrases. That silence is intentional. It allows space. Space is where rest happens. Space is where learning can happen. Without effort, nothing is being pushed into your mind. Everything is allowed to arrive naturally. The voice remains slow, unhurried, steady. There is no sense of time here. No countdown. No ending approaching. Only continuation. English stays with you as long as you are here. and you do not need to do anything. We remain in this calm rhythm. The night continues without movement. There is no signal to wake, no signal to act. English can stay exactly where it is, quietly present. Your body rests deeper now. Muscles soften. Breathing remains slow and natural. The voice does not pull you back. It does not ask you to listen. It simply exists. English does not need effort to stay in your awareness. It can move freely between silence and sound. Some words may sound familiar. Others may feel distant. There is no difference between them right now. Language does not need meaning in this moment. It only needs space. And space is already here. You may notice that thoughts appear more slowly, or that they stop appearing at all. Both are signs of rest. English does not interrupt that rest. It supports it, like a steady background sound that does not demand attention. The rhythm remains gentle. There is no rise in volume, no sudden change. Everything stays even. You may hear simple ideas pass by. There is time. There is no hurry. Nothing is required. These ideas are not instructions. They are simply reflections of the moment. You do not need to respond to them. They can pass through, like quiet thoughts before sleep. Your brain is still listening, even when you are not aware of it. It notices the calm tone, the steady pace, the natural pauses. This is enough. There is nothing to improve, nothing to adjust. English fits into the stillness without disturbing it. If you drift further away, the sound can stay behind. If you remain lightly awake, the sound can stay with you. Both are welcome. This is not a test, not a lesson. It is simply exposure in its most natural form. Language does not need effort to be absorbed. It needs repetition without tension. That repetition can happen in silence, in softness, in rest. You are not missing anything. By not focusing, you are allowing familiarity to grow quietly. The night remains open. There is no ending here. English continues as long as the night continues, and nothing needs to change. The night feels steady and wide. There is no direction now. No forward, no back. English can remain exactly where it is. Soft, unhurried, present. You don't need to notice when sentences begin or when they end. Sound can come and go without being followed. Your body continues resting. Your breathing finds its own rhythm. Nothing interrupts that rhythm. The voice stays even. It does not rise. It does not fall suddenly. English becomes part of the background, like the hum of a quiet room. Some words may pass through awareness. Still, quiet, enough. They don't carry information. They carry tone. Tone matters more than meaning now. The tone tells your mind that nothing is required, that it can let go. Language does not need to be sharp to be present. It can be soft, almost transparent. Your mind may float between listening and rest, between awareness and sleep. That space is natural. English does not pull you out of it. It stays alongside. This kind of listening, does not aim to teach. It allows familiarity to form without intention. Your brain recognizes the sound of English the way it recognizes music, without analysis, without effort. You may not remember anything from this part later. That is not a problem. Memory is not the goal here. Comfort is, and comfort comes from repeated calm exposure. The pauses remain long enough for silence to exist. Silence is not empty. It holds rest. English respects that silence. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is filled unnecessarily. If your thoughts appear, they can pass. If no thoughts appear, that is fine too. The voice remains steady. No matter what state you are in, there is no expectation that you stay awake. There is no expectation that you fall asleep. Both states are welcome. English stays neutral. It does not ask you to choose. It stays with you. As the night continues, there is no end approaching, no signal to prepare, only continuation. The calm remains. The sound remains. Everything else can fade. The night keeps its quiet shape. There is no change in pace, no need for movement. English can continue to exist without asking anything from you. Your body remains still. Your breathing stays slow and natural. Nothing needs to be adjusted. The voice stays soft, almost blending into the silence. English does not arrive with meaning now. It arrives with rhythm. Rhythm is gentle, even, predictable. That predictability feels safe. You may not notice individual words anymore. You may only notice the flow. That is perfectly fine. Language does not need clarity to remain present. It can be felt rather than understood. Your mind may drift between awareness and rest. That drifting is natural. English does not interrupt it. It moves with it. Sometimes the sound is closer. Sometimes it feels farther away. Both states are welcome. There is no right distance. You may hear simple ideas pass by. There is time. There is space. There is nothing to solve. These ideas are not instructions. They are reflections of calm. You do not need to respond to them. They can pass through, like quiet thoughts before sleep. Your brain continues to listen. In the background, it recognizes patterns. Without effort, it notices the slow pace, the long pauses, the steady tone. This is how familiarity forms, not through repetition with focus, but through repetition without tension. English can become familiar without becoming demanding. You do not need to hold on to anything. If a sentence stays, that is fine. If it disappears, that is fine too. Nothing is lost. The moment does not require memory. It only requires space, and space is already here. Silence remains part of the sound. The voice respects that silence. It does not try to fill every moment. It allows stillness. Stillness supports rest. Rest allows the mind to remain open. There is no destination here, no ending in sight. The night continues. English continues quietly with it. Nothing needs to happen. Nothing needs to change. We remain in this calm rhythm. The night remains gentle and unbroken. There is no signal to change position, no signal to think. English can stay exactly as it is. Soft, steady, unobtrusive. Your body rests without effort. Your breathing moves on its own. Nothing needs your attention. The voice does not guide. It does not lead. It simply stays. English does not need to be clear now. It does not need to be sharp. It can exist as sound, as rhythm, as tone. That is enough. Your mind may feel distant, or it may feel present. Both are natural. Language can exist in both states. You may notice the sound fade and return again, like waves, like breathing. This is not interruption. This is rhythm. English can follow this rhythm without forcing itself forward. There is no instruction to listen closely, no reminder to focus. Everything is already happening without effort. You may hear gentle phrases pass by. It's quiet here. There is time. There is no hurry. They do not need to be understood. They do not ask for response. They simply pass. Your brain notices them, even if you do not. This kind of listening is subtle. It works quietly. The mind absorbs familiarity without conscious work. That is how language settles, not by force, not by repetition with effort, but by presence. You may not remember these words later. That is perfectly fine. Memory is not required. Comfort is, and comfort comes from calm exposure. The pauses between sentences remain long. They allow silence to stay. Silence is not empty. It supports rest. English respects that silence. It does not rush to fill it. Your thoughts may slow even more now, or they may stop completely. Both are welcome. There is no wrong way to be here. English does not judge your state of mind. It stays neutral, steady, soft. There is no ending approaching, no moment to prepare for. The night continues. English continues with it. Everything remains gentle. Nothing needs to change. The night feels deeper now, but nothing feels heavy. Everything remains calm. English can stay exactly where it is, without asking anything from you. There is no need to follow the sound, no need to stay aware. Your mind knows how to rest while still listening. This is a natural state. Language does not need effort to exist here. It can float gently through silence. The voice stays low, unhurried, consistent. It does not interrupt your rest. English becomes part of the night, like a soft background presence that does not demand attention. You may notice that time feels different now, slower, less defined. That is normal. There is no schedule here, no structure to follow, only continuity. Words may come and go. You don't need to notice which ones stay. Your mind receives sound without needing to react. This is enough. You may hear quiet reflections. There is nothing to do. There is nowhere to go. This moment is enough. These phrases are not instructions. They are simply sounds, moving through calm. You don't need to answer them. They pass naturally. Your body remains relaxed. Muscles stay soft. Breathing remains slow and even. English does not change this rhythm. It follows it. There is no effort involved in listening now. Only presence. Even presence can fade. That is fine. Language does not disappear. When attention fades, it stays quietly nearby. Your brain continues to recognize tone and rhythm without awareness. This is how familiarity builds, not through focus, not through repetition with intention, but through calm, repeated exposure. In moments of rest, you may not remember this part tomorrow. That does not matter. What matters is how English feels. And right now, it feels calm, safe, unintrusive. There is no sense of progress or direction here. No need for outcome, only continuation. The night stays open. English stays with you. As long as the night continues, nothing changes. Everything remains soft. The quiet stays wide and gentle. Nothing pulls you forward. Nothing pulls you back. English can remain here, without purpose, without direction. There is no need to understand, no need to follow. The sound can simply exist. Your body stays at rest. Your breathing remains slow, almost automatic. Nothing asks for change. The voice blends into the silence, not separate from it. English becomes part of the background, like air moving softly through a room. You may not notice when sentences begin. You may not notice when they end. That is perfectly fine. Language does not need edges right now. It can soften. It can blur. Your mind may drift through images, or it may feel empty. Both states are welcome. English does not disturb either one. It stays neutral. You may hear quiet phrases pass through awareness. There is nothing missing. This is enough. There is no rush. They are not instructions. They are reflections of calm. They do not need response. They can pass without leaving a trace. Your brain continues listening. Even when you are not aware of it, it notices the steady pace, the gentle tone, the long pauses. These elements create familiarity. Familiarity does not need effort. It grows quietly. When the mind feels safe, safety allows learning. Without intention, you may feel yourself drifting between listening and rest, between sound and silence. That space is natural. English fits into it without pushing. There is no pressure to stay awake, no pressure to fall asleep. Both are acceptable. The sound remains steady, regardless of your state. There is no moment to prepare for, no ending approaching yet. The night continues. English continues alongside it. Everything stays slow. Everything stays calm. Nothing needs to change. The night holds its silence gently. There is no movement in this moment. No reason to shift. No reason to think. English can stay here quietly, without purpose, without direction. The sound does not ask for attention. It does not try to wake you. It simply stays. Your breathing continues naturally, slow, even. Your body remains relaxed, without effort. The voice does not lead you anywhere. It does not guide. It exists in the background, steady and calm. English does not need to be clear now. It does not need to be precise. It can soften into tone and rhythm. That is enough. You may notice moments of awareness and moments of absence. Both are natural. Language does not disappear. When awareness fades, it remains quietly present, like a familiar sound that you no longer need to notice. Your mind may feel distant now, or very still. There is no difference between these states. English fits into both. You may hear gentle reflections pass by. There is nothing to fix. There is nothing expected. This moment is complete. These phrases are not messages. They are echoes of calm. They do not ask you to respond. They do not ask you to remember. They simply pass through. Your brain continues to recognize the sound of English without effort. It recognizes the pace, the softness, the consistency. This recognition does not feel active. It feels passive. And that is exactly how familiarity grows. Not through attention, not through repetition with focus, but through calm presence. Over time, the pauses remain long. Silence is allowed to stay. Silence is part of the listening. English respects that silence. It does not rush to fill it. Your thoughts may slow further. They may dissolve completely. That is fine. The sound does not disturb that state. It stays gentle, steady, unchanging. There is no ending yet, no transition. The night continues. English continues with it. Everything remains soft. Nothing needs to happen. The night feels settled now, as if everything has found its place. There is no need to adjust, no need to react. English can remain exactly where it is, quiet and steady. The sound does not change. It does not grow louder. It does not fade completely. It stays. Your body continues resting on its own. Breathing moves slowly, almost unnoticed. Nothing asks for attention. The voice remains soft, almost blending into the silence. English does not arrive as meaning. It arrives as presence, as tone, as rhythm. That is enough. You may not be aware of individual words now. You may only notice the flow, or you may notice nothing at all. Both are natural. Language does not require awareness to remain familiar. It can exist even when attention fades. You may hear gentle ideas pass through the quiet. There is nothing else. There is no need. This moment is complete. These are not instructions. They are reflections of rest. They do not ask you to respond. They pass like soft thoughts before deep sleep. Your brain continues to listen without effort. It notices the consistency, the calm pace, the lack of urgency. This creates safety, and safety allows language to settle quietly. You do not need to remember this part later. Memory is not important here. What matters is how English feels. And right now, it feels calm. It feels neutral. It feels familiar. The pauses remain long. Silence remains welcome. Nothing is filled unnecessarily. The voice respects the stillness. Your thoughts may slow further. They may stop completely. That is fine. English does not disturb this state. It stays gentle and changing. There is still no ending here, no signal to prepare. The night continues. English continues with it. Everything remains soft. Everything remains slow. Nothing needs to change. The night continues without edges. There is no beginning here and no end. English can stay present without needing to move forward. Your body remains still. Breathing continues quietly without thought. Nothing needs to be adjusted. The sound remains gentle, steady, and changing. English does not arrive with meaning now. It arrives with familiarity. Familiar sounds do not ask for attention. They feel safe. You may notice that the voice feels more distant or closer. Both are natural. Distance does not remove presence. English can exist far away and still be heard. Your mind does not need to track anything. It does not need to follow. Listening can happen without awareness. This is a natural state. Language does not disappear. When focus disappears, it stays quietly nearby. You may hear soft phrases drift through the silence. There is nothing else to do. There is nowhere else to be. This moment is enough. These phrases are not messages. They are part of the calm. They do not ask for response. They do not need understanding. They pass naturally. Your brain continues to notice rhythm without effort. It recognizes the steady pace, the softness of the voice, the absence of urgency. This recognition builds familiarity. Familiarity does not feel active. It feels passive. And passive exposure is enough. You do not need to remember this later. You do not need to recall words. This moment is not about memory. It is about presence. And presence can exist even in sleep. The pauses remain long. Silence remains welcome. English does not rush to fill the space. It respects stillness. Your thoughts may slow further or disappear completely. Both are signs of rest. English does not interrupt rest. It follows it. There is no sense of time now, no direction, only continuation. The night remains open. English remains with you. As long as the night remains, nothing changes. Everything stays gentle. The night stays wide and quiet. Nothing moves forward. Nothing moves back. English can remain here, without purpose, without direction. The sound does not guide you. It does not pull you into thought. It simply exists. Your body continues to rest naturally. Breathing flows on its own. There is no need to notice it. The voice remains steady, low, almost blending into the silence. English is no longer something to listen to. It is something that is simply present, like air, like darkness, like stillness. You may not notice words anymore. You may only sense rhythm. That is enough. Language does not need clarity to be absorbed. It can soften. It can blur. Your mind may drift far away now, or it may remain lightly aware. Both are natural states. English fits into both. You may hear quiet reflections pass through. There is nothing missing. There is no rush. This moment is complete. These sounds do not ask you to respond. They do not carry meaning you need to keep. They are part of the calm. Your brain continues to listen without effort. It recognizes consistency, the lack of urgency, the safety of repetition. This is how familiarity deepens, not through attention, not through focus, through calm presence. Over time, the pauses remain long. Silence is allowed to stay. Silence is not empty. It holds rest. English respects that rest. It does not try to fill every space. Your thoughts may slow even more now. They may dissolve completely. That is fine. The sound does not disturb that state. It stays neutral, steady, soft. There is no change coming, no signal. The night continues quietly. English continues with it. Nothing needs to happen. The night feels endless in a gentle way. There is no sense of time passing. Minutes do not matter here. Nothing needs to be counted. English can remain present, without direction, without intention. The sound stays soft, almost weightless. It does not ask you to follow it. It does not ask you to stay awake. Your body continues resting deeply. Muscles stay relaxed. Breathing stays slow and natural. Nothing changes. The voice blends into the quiet, not separate from it. English becomes part of the atmosphere, like a familiar background sound that does not require attention. You may notice moments where the sound feels closer and moments where it feels distant. Both are natural. Distance does not mean absence. Language can remain familiar, even when it feels far away. Your mind does not need to hold on to anything. It does not need to understand. Listening can happen without awareness. This is how sound settles. You may hear gentle phrases pass through the calm. There is no hurry. There is time. There is nothing to solve. These phrases are not instructions. They are simply part of the quiet. They do not need to be remembered. They pass softly, without leaving effort behind. Your brain continues to recognize rhythm. Even when thoughts are quiet, it notices the steady pace, the softness of the voice, the long pauses between sentences. This recognition feels safe. Safety allows language to stay without resistance. You are not trying to learn. You are not trying to remember. English stays anyway. This is enough. The pauses remain open. Silence stays welcome. Nothing rushes to fill it. Your thoughts may slow further or disappear completely. That is fine. The sound does not interrupt rest. It follows it. There is no destination here. No point to reach. Only continuation. The night remains open. English remains with you. Everything stays calm. Everything stays gentle. The quiet holds everything gently. There is no change in the air. No shift in sound. English can remain here, without purpose, without direction. The voice stays low and steady, almost indistinguishable from silence. You do not need to recognize words. You do not need to follow sentences. Sound can exist without meaning. Your body continues resting naturally. Breathing stays slow, unforced. Nothing asks you to move. The night feels wide, as if there is plenty of space for everything to be exactly as it is. English fits into that space easily. It does not push. It does not pull. It simply stays. You may notice that awareness comes and goes. That is natural. Listening does not stop. When awareness fades, language remains present, even in the background of sleep. You may hear soft phrases drift through the quiet. There is nothing else. There is no need. This moment is enough. These sounds are not messages. They do not require response. They are part of the calm atmosphere. Your brain continues to recognize tone and rhythm without effort. It notices the consistency, the gentleness, the absence of urgency. This creates familiarity. Familiarity does not feel active. It feels safe. Safe sounds do not require attention. They can exist quietly, without being noticed. The pauses remain long. Silence stays open. Nothing rushes to fill the space. English respects stillness. Your thoughts may slow even more now. They may feel distant or disappear completely. Both states are welcome. The sound does not disturb rest. It follows it. There is no ending here, no signal to prepare. The night continues. English continues with it. Everything remains steady. Everything remains gentle. The night remains soft and still. Nothing asks for attention. Nothing asks to be changed. English can continue to stay here, without intention, without direction. The sound is gentle, almost transparent. It does not interrupt rest. It does not pull the mind forward. Your body stays relaxed. Breathing moves slowly, quietly. There is no effort anywhere. The voice does not try to guide you. It does not try to teach. It simply exists as part of the calm. English does not need to be understood now. It does not need meaning. It can exist as rhythm, as tone, as softness. That is enough. Your mind may drift deeper into quiet, or it may hover lightly near awareness. Both are natural. Language fits into both states, without resistance. You may hear soft reflections move through the silence. There is space. There is calm. There is nothing to hurry. These phrases are not instructions. They do not ask you to think. They pass gently, without leaving weight behind. Your brain continues to listen. Even when you are not aware of it, it recognizes the steady pace, the gentle pauses, the absence of urgency. This recognition feels familiar. Familiarity does not require focus. It grows quietly. When the mind feels safe, you do not need to remember anything from this moment. Memory is not important here. This time is for rest. English stays with you. In the same way silence stays with you. Present, neutral, unchanging. The pauses remain open. Silence is welcome. Nothing fills the space unnecessarily. Your thoughts may slow further. They may dissolve completely. That is fine. The sound does not disturb that state. It stays steady. There is no ending here, no transition. The night continues. English continues alongside it. Everything remains calm. Everything remains soft. The night holds its calm without effort. There is no sense of urgency, no reason to shift your attention. English can remain here quietly, settled into the stillness. The sound stays low and gentle, almost blending into the quiet around you. You don't need to notice when it begins. You don't need to notice when it pauses. Everything flows naturally. Your body continues to rest on its own. Breathing stays slow and steady. Muscles remain soft. Nothing needs to be adjusted. The voice does not interrupt the silence. It respects it. English becomes part of the night, not separate from it. You may notice moments when awareness fades completely, and moments when it returns lightly. Both are natural. Listening does not stop. When awareness fades, language continues quietly. In the background, you may hear soft ideas pass through the calm. There is nothing to decide. There is nothing to prepare. This moment is enough. These sounds are not instructions. They do not ask you to think. They pass like gentle echoes, leaving the space undisturbed. Your brain continues to recognize the rhythm of English. Without effort, it notices the slow pace, the even tone, the long pauses. This recognition feels familiar and safe. Familiarity does not require attention. It grows quietly. When there is no pressure, you are not trying to learn. You are not trying to remember. English stays anyway. The pauses remain open. Silence remains welcome. Nothing rushes to fill the space. Your thoughts may slow even further now. They may become distant or disappear entirely. That is fine. The sound does not disturb rest. It follows it. There is no ending yet, no signal to move on. The night continues gently. English continues with it. Everything remains calm. Everything remains soft. The quiet remains unchanged. Nothing asks to be noticed. Nothing asks to be named. English can stay here without meaning, without purpose. The sound is soft enough to blend into the night. It does not rise. It does not fall. It stays even. Your body continues resting naturally. Breathing moves slowly, without effort. There is no need to check anything. No need to follow any thought. The voice does not guide you forward. It does not pull you back. It simply stays present. English is not something to listen to now. It is something that exists, like silence, like darkness, like rest. You may notice that time feels distant. Minutes lose their shape. That is natural. This moment does not need structure. Language does not need structure either. It can exist without beginning and without end. You may hear quiet phrases drift through the stillness. There is nothing missing. There is no hurry. This moment is complete. These sounds do not ask for attention. They do not need understanding. They pass gently, leaving the space untouched. Your brain continues to recognize tone and rhythm. Without awareness, it notices the consistency, the calm repetition. This recognition feels safe. Safety allows language to remain without resistance. You do not need to remember anything from this part. You do not need to recall words later. Memory is not important here. Comfort is, and comfort comes from calm presence over time. The pauses remain long. Silence remains open. Nothing rushes to fill it. Your thoughts may slow even more now. They may fade into quiet. That is fine. The sound does not disturb rest. It follows it. There is no change coming, no ending approaching. The night continues. English continues with it. Everything remains soft. Everything remains still. The night stays quiet and open. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be taken away. English can remain here, without purpose, without movement. The sound feels steady, almost like part of the silence itself. It does not stand out. It does not demand attention. Your body continues resting deeply. Breathing moves slowly, softly, without thought. There is no need to notice it. The voice stays calm, unhurried, unchanging. English does not try to explain anything now. It does not offer meaning. It exists as presence, as rhythm, as softness. That is enough. You may notice that thoughts feel far away, or that they arrive briefly and fade again. Both are natural. Language does not interrupt this process. It follows it. You may hear quiet phrases pass gently through the calm. There is no need to hurry. There is nothing to remember. This moment is safe. These sounds are not instructions. They do not ask you to respond. They pass like soft echoes, leaving no weight behind. Your brain continues to recognize the familiar sound of English. Without effort, it notices the slow pace, the gentle pauses, the steady tone. This recognition does not feel active. It feels natural. Familiar sounds feel comfortable. Comfort allows the mind to stay open without effort. You are not trying to learn. You are not trying to focus. English stays anyway. The pauses remain long enough for silence to breathe. Silence is not empty. It supports rest. English respects that silence. It does not rush to fill it. Your awareness may drift further now. You may feel very far away or very still. That is fine. The sound does not disturb this state. It stays neutral. There is no signal to wake, no signal to move. The night continues without change. English continues quietly with it. Everything remains calm. Everything remains soft. The quiet feels complete now, as if nothing more is needed. There is no sense of direction, no forward, no back. English can remain here, without purpose, without movement. The sound is steady and gentle, almost inseparable from the silence around it. You do not need to notice it. You do not need to listen for it. It is simply there. Your body continues resting naturally. Breathing stays slow and even. Muscles remain soft. Nothing asks to be changed. The voice does not interrupt the stillness. It does not ask for attention. English does not arrive as words now. It arrives as familiarity. Familiarity does not need awareness. It can exist quietly. In the background of rest, you may notice moments when thought disappears completely. moments when there is only stillness. That is natural. Language does not disappear. When thought disappears, it stays quietly present. You may hear soft reflections pass through the calm. There is nothing else to do. There is nowhere else to be. This moment is enough. These sounds do not carry instruction. They do not ask you to respond. They pass like quiet echoes, leaving the space unchanged. Your brain continues to recognize the rhythm of English. Without effort, it notices consistency, the lack of urgency, the gentle repetition. This recognition feels safe. Safety allows the mind to remain open. Without work, you are not trying to learn. You are not trying to remember. English stays anyway. The pauses remain long. Silence remains open. Nothing rushes to fill it. Your awareness may drift further away now. You may feel deeply at rest. That is fine. The sound does not disturb that state. It follows it. There is still no ending here. No signal to prepare. The night continues. English continues with it. Everything remains calm. Everything remains steady. The night feels settled and spacious. Nothing is waiting. Nothing is expected. English can remain here without needing to change. The sound stays soft, steady, almost invisible. It does not rise. It does not fall away. It simply remains. Your body continues resting on its own. Breathing flows slowly, naturally, without thought. There is no effort anywhere. The voice does not guide you. It does not pull your attention. English is not something you need to listen to now. It is something that is simply present, like the quiet in the room, like the darkness around you. You may not notice words anymore. You may only sense the rhythm. That is enough. Language does not need clarity to stay familiar. It can exist without meaning, without focus. Your mind may feel very far away now, or very still. Both are natural. English does not disturb either state. It fits quietly into both. You may hear gentle reflections pass through the calm. There is nothing to hold. There is nothing to follow. This moment is complete. These sounds are not instructions. They do not ask you to think. They pass softly, leaving no trace. Your brain continues to recognize the sound of English without effort. It notices the steady pace, the long pauses, the calm tone. This recognition feels familiar. Familiarity does not require attention. It grows quietly. When there is no pressure, you do not need to remember anything from this moment. Memory is not important here. What matters is how English feels. And right now, it feels calm, neutral, safe. The pauses remain open. Silence remains welcome. Nothing rushes to fill the space. Your thoughts may slow even further now. They may disappear completely. That is fine. The sound does not interrupt rest. It follows it. The night continues without change. English continues quietly with it. Everything remains soft. Everything remains steady. You've been listening without effort, without trying to remember, without needing to stay awake. This is how language settles quietly, naturally. English doesn't need to be pushed. It doesn't need to be forced. It stays when it feels safe. You heard the rhythm of real English, the calm tone, the soft pauses, not lessons, not rules, just presence. If you fell asleep, that's perfect. If you stayed awake, that's fine too. English can stay with you. In both states, you can return to this kind of listening whenever you need rest, whenever you want English to feel normal, familiar, and complicated. This is English Unlocked. Real life English, spoken slowly and clearly. I'm Natalia. Thank you for being here.